So, welcome to another episode of Rebel City Podcast. So, for the first time, we're doing 2 episodes in the same week. But we've done this for a reason, because both guests have got an event happening tomorrow, which is Saturday, which would be, if I check the calendar, the 10th of August. So, this guest is Glasgow St. Pauli. So, St. Pauli are a German Bundesliga 2 team, if I remember rightly for the conversation. And we had the guys from their Glasgow supporter club in. We had a fantastic conversation, and it actually threw up a couple of sort of revelations for me. I've been slightly disillusioned with football, as is Matt, I think, for a couple of years now. And when we're talking to the guys, it really seems that it's just the sort of corporate entity that football teams have become in the UK. I mean, I love Celtic and will always follow and support Celtic, but I think the actual truth of the matter is that the fans of Celtic have become customers, and guys like Peter Lawwell and Dermot Desmond, as long as you're paying your money, couldn't really give two fucks about what you think or try and make it inclusive. We covered what drove the guys to become fans of St. Pauli, the experience, the match day experience. We spoke a lot about that. We also spoke about the anti-fascist element of St. Pauli and the left in Germany, and how it's becoming sort of more dangerous to actually be an anti-fascist, which is a sort of strange concept for me to get my head round. We also spoke about the gig that's coming up at the QMU on Saturday, and how important, like, the sort of community element that these supporters clubs have, and the work that they do for sort of fighting racism, misogyny and fascism in general. So I hope you enjoy the episode. Check the guys out, please, and any feedback, as always, is welcome. So without further ado, here's the guys from Glasgow St. Pauli. So, and welcome to another episode of Rebel City Podcast. This week's guest, we've got Glasgow St. Pauli. I'm going to say it right because I've been calling it St. Pauli. Got a fucking mug for the last half hour since she's turned up. Cheers for coming on, guys, and sorry about the mix-up in the time. It's
no worries.
Time organising these things.
We're usually slicker than this, aren't we?
Well,
we like to think.
We like to think so. But thanks very much for coming in. This is, I mean, I don't know if it is strange. I suppose you can tell. Is like I don't see very many supporters clubs for other football teams, but St. Pauli seem to have like this worldwide fan base. Like, what attracts people for Glasgow, Belfast? I mean, we can see the Belfast one there, but there seems to be like a fan club. What attracted you to a team in Germany and the German second division?
Certainly not the quality of football.
Quality of the beer.
For me, I think it was the kind of the attitude of fans being treated first and foremost, not as consumers, but as people who want to go and watch a game of football and who have an identity with the club. I'm a long time Celtic supporter, season ticket holder for years. Haven't been for quite some time. Kind of not fell out of love with Celtic, but fell out of love with the way that Scottish football was organised and ran.
Definitely.
And you're going to a ground, you're herded in, you're by this, by that. It was a soulless experience for me. I mean, I'm not criticising anybody who supports a particular club. That's absolutely fine. But for me, there was more to it than that. And when I first went to a St. Pauli game, I couldn't quite believe just how it was organised, how the fans took the lead, how the club and the fans interacted, and that's just something which I think is missing from Scottish football, from football in England, and probably from football in a lot of places. I think your first time at a St. Pauli game was certainly an experience. Mine was an away game in February in Aachen, which is in the northwest of Germany. It was -15. It was so cold you couldn't even have a beer. It was absolutely freezing. They get beat, but I'll never forget the whole experience of that day. Fans were just absolutely brilliant to us, very, very welcoming.
Yep.
There was just something a little bit different about it. It was not just the ethos of the fans, who are obviously well known being left, and left wing, and some radically left, but also just the kind of the whole culture, the way that they organised themselves, the way they fed into the club, the way that the club listens to the fans, the way the club is organised and with fan membership, and that kind of attracted me, and that's kind of something. So it's fan members, it's no shareholders, and that's something which I think is important.
The stakeholders that are involved are interested in enjoying the experience rather than how much money they make off the back. I can relate. I mean, it's no secret that we've been season book holders at Parkhead at various points. I've moved away this year. I've spent a bit of time recently, like following St Roch's as we were talking earlier on, and I had a similar thing where I went to my first game. They were 4-1 down in 10 minutes. Captain had been sent off. It was pissing the rain, but I got a beer and like the banter was all right. And I've just found myself going back and back because it feels like a more like almost personal experience than just get in the turnstile, buy your burger, buy your programme, shut up. You know what I mean? Which I felt a lot recently for like top flight football in recent years, and I think there'll be probably fans across clubs all over Scotland that will feel like their money really only gets them dictated to by boards and stuff like that. So, like, what do you do? Do you just decide you're going? Did you get in touch with fans clubs yourself? What was the journey like to get there and stuff like
There's
that?
an organisation which is kind of representative of the fans, and it's called the Fan Laden, and they actually have an office which is in the Gegengrade stand, which is the Gegengrade means the what is it? Oh, I don't know what it means. Sorry, forgot.
Sorry.
Anyway, it's a long stand opposite the big main stand, back straight. That's what it means. And it's they've got an office in there, and you contact them, and you make you say you try and organise tickets with them. You get to know them, and when they get to know you,
the popularity means you get in advance.
And if you're a registered members club, getting tickets it's not relatively easy. You're never guaranteed them.
Yeah.
But they have an allocated number of tickets for foreign supporter clubs, and they'll put some by for you. You reserve them, you go and you get them, and it's €13 to get in.
And is that including when they were in Bundesliga and stuff like top flight football? €13, which works out at a tenner.
Nah.
Yeah, well, not anymore. It's about 15 quid now.
Cheers Brexit. But I mean, £10 wouldn't even get you a fucking pie and a like for two.
Programme.
You know what I mean? At Celtic Park or whatever at Ibrox.
I've been to games where I've
it.
watched like the European champions for 35 quid on a Wednesday, and then went away to Rugby Park on a Saturday and paid £40. You know what I mean? Like, so the notion that you're going to go and watch Bundesliga teams for 10 to 15 quid is unreal, because the quality of the game out there is unbelievable. Even with what goes on with the fans, like it's a very good league. You know what I mean?
Don't know if you've watched them, Pauli. Nothing technically good about them. But no, you're right. You can pay €13.50 euros for a ticket, but you're also we're masters, as we were saying earlier on, 24-hour flights. So if you book it in advance, you're getting like a flight for EasyJet for about 40 quid return sometimes. So 40 quid and then your €13 price.
Your money.
I mean, it's
because you don't book any accommodation. So
What's the match day? I mean, I've heard story. I've never been to Germany. I think I went once at school.
I've got the mental image of like
Germany.
street parties and all sorts of
But
things happening.
you get,
that's the case or no, I
we've
don't
had
know.
mates that go abroad, we go to Germany and go to like Bayern Munich games, and they're telling us that it's like a full day event, that the fans, it's more like American sports where the fans are sort of like community and they're in the car park and have like barbecues and beers and then they go and watch the game, but then there's stuff that happens after it. And like, is that the same? Was in Pauli? Stop myself. My name's Paul, so
it's a difficult one.
I know, honestly,
it's pretty accurate, to be honest with you. It's you go there and like when you get to St Pauli and you pick up your tickets at the Gegengrade, there's like the fan room, which is fan room, just next to that, and it's that kind of meeting space for fans to come and kind of get a beer together. Kind of, it's all focused towards fans like kind of experience. So it's not like it's nothing.
Not that commercial.
Aye.
Horrible.
It's like there's big
controlled
piles.
sense.
Aye.
There's big piles of stickers sitting there. Do you know what I mean? People can come in, buy put a donation or whatever, get scarves, swap scarves, everything about that. Someone's going to think that this is why they're here. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing a case of there's
like outside that stand, you'll find loads of different stalls. So there'll be a stall for the refugee team, FC Lampedusa, friends of ours who run that team. It's kind of like United Glasgow,
Yeah.
with them. So it's the same idea. A football club for refugee kids who have got nothing else, to do.
Yeah.
So they sell their merch. Next to them, there'll be another group that's selling. That's I got his T-shirt I'm wearing there from there.
Yep.
There's the fan laden, which also sells its own merch, and the club they don't have this issue with you can't sell that. That's ours. That's copyright and all this. You don't seem to get that.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it's never occurred to me to ask, but are these fan zones, are these mixed or are these exclusive to,
There's been I've been there and there's been other fans, but it just depends on what team it is you're playing. Like for instance, we were over for the game against HSV Hamburg.
Right, okay.
And that you couldn't get near.
Yeah, that's not realistic.
Aye. So that was a no-go, and there's other teams like Dresden we were over for last year as well, and that's a Class A game because they're right-wing Nazi bastards.
Okay.
So the fans are kept. There was that's the only time I've ever seen water
That makes
cannon
sense, to be fair, doesn't it?
at a game.
I think in terms of policing and stuff like that, it must make a lot more sense for fans to congregate in and around the area of the stadium rather than, for example, like cortèges marching through, city centres and stuff like that. So, like, water cannons.
Yeah.
It seems like, aye.
That was the HSV game, wasn't
That's an
it?
overreach for a second division game, no?
That was the first time in 9 years there'd been a derby in the city.
Oh, right.
And the ultras in both ends don't like each other at all. And that game was absolutely crazy. I've never been in it was stopped 4 times in the first half because of the pyro. You couldn't actually see the ground.
Right, just for smoke bombs everywhere.
You couldn't see and flares and whatever. So we couldn't see the players from where we were. And it was absolutely crazy. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
That's wild when you think about the reaction we get in here when one smoke bomb or one sort of pyro goes off. Yeah, you do see pictures from all around the world, Turkey, Germany, all these places where they're used on a game by game basis, like to a degree that we just don't see here, and it seems to be something that is acceptable. I don't know if that's the experience earlier or
I don't think it's overly
Is that
acceptable.
encouraged?
No, it's not encouraged, but it's used more. But it's at that game, I didn't mind it when it was constant flares and smoke bombs and stuff like that. Because to be honest, the game was fucking terrible for us.
I wish they'd waited until we're 4-0 down. I didn't want to see the pitch by that point.
We came for the atmosphere, but we didn't realise we were leaving it in.
But when they start lobbing things onto the pitch to try and get the game stopped and things, that's when it's gone too far.
There was fireworks getting aimed at the pitch and stuff as well. Which was
I
a
think
bit,
Hamburg did that as well when they were about to be relegated in recent years.
That's
They
it,
brought the
yeah.
game
last
to a
season, yeah.
standstill.
We
Who came up
watched-
with your logo? Because it keeps on catching my eye because it's class, man. I love the Glasgow sort of bit in the middle of the. So who came up with the idea of that?
That was myself.
he says modestly.
Aye,
I'm not going to lie about it.
time to shine.
Um,
I like the refugee bit as well, like
Yeah.
the refugees welcome, man. It's class, and
Yeah.
I think that what you're saying there about them being able to have stalls and sell, I suppose that's going to spark a lot of that sort of creativity amongst the fans that you can't do at Celtic. Like you see people walking about in the Magners, and you're just kind of, you don't even notice it. But then you see something like a T-shirt like this or like that, and you're instantly like, that's cool. Like you want to know more about it. So I think that's amazing that it's more geared towards like the fans, and rather than like you're saying just pure corporate entities that are just spewing out 4 or 5 different taps every year for you to go and spend fucking best part of £100 on.
So in fairness, they do that as well.
yeah.
Aye.
Don't you're ever going to get away with that,
No.
regardless of the team.
Sticky
But
winter.
going back to your earlier point, like that is the whole thing where it does bring it to the fans, where it's a case of the whole day is you get there. Well, we like to go in about 2 hours before the game so you can get your banner up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is about, it's not a case of full time, get out. Do you know what I mean? You're still standing, because you're standing with your pals. So it's
Yeah.
that whole kind of thing where you stand with your pals, go and get another beer, come back, team will walk around regardless of the score, clap, every stand. Do you know what I mean? So it's it is a whole day kind of event, isn't it?
We're there that often. We stand in the same place in the Sud curve and folk knows. It's pretty surreal, really.
Yeah.
You know.
You look round, there's folk in the
What are you
crowd that's got
doing?
a
You're
GSP
back and all
scarf on.
this,
You're
you
like,
know.
fucking hell.
Right. And then after the game, like people go back because there's also a wine bar
Okay.
and there's a pub in the
actual
stadium,
stadium, right.
which is in the Gegengrad stand as well, and it's open and it's always absolutely rammed with folk. until like
It's not as posh as it sounds.
no, it's
Yeah.
not. Until about like 9, 10 at night.
See, I mean, again, I don't get, like going to the football, you want to maybe grab a jar with a few mates on the way there, watch your team, and then, if possible, grab a few jars on, as things, traffic that's doing, and whatever else you're doing, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't get why we can't live with that in this country when you see it work so well elsewhere, you know what I mean? Like, it's, I think, part of the contempt, again, that, the authorities in this country feel for football fans that maybe isn't prevalent in somewhere like Germany.
I mean, the cops are there, but they're in the background. You know they're there, but they kind of stay down on like Budapest Strasse, which is just a wee bit back from the stadium, and you'll see their vans lined up there, or at Feldstrasse at the other end. But they don't you don't see them coming in wandering about the fans, and they just leave the fans to it, and the fans are, I guess, mature enough just to get on with enjoying their day and doing what they want to do without the need for constant policing.
Yeah, you hear about I went on the stadium tour at Amsterdam Arena, and they talk about how they police themselves. When you say that to people here, football fans will police themselves. It's almost like whatever. Like, no chance that you could leave a few thousand football fans to just let them take care of themselves. But
they stop being adults and start being football fans.
It's almost, and we're going the opposite direction. I mean, you see, fucking police have just got GoPros strapped to them. They're videoing you. Do you know what I mean? They're ever present.
I've never seen a policeman in the stadium in the stand.
No,
I've seen there's like security guards, stewards, whatever you want, but no policeman.
There's no place for them if people are behaving themselves.
Why do you think we're so reluctant here? Do you think it's... I mean, we've been doing we've done like Jeanette Finlay and we were talking about that off mic, and I'm coming to the conclusion that kind of football rivalry coupled with a religious sort of segment here in this country is sort of just used as like a sort of political game of chess where people can pick it up and drop it. So they don't really want to fix it. There's like we're trying to talk to people and say like, what's the solution here? And I don't think people actually want solutions. I think they just kind of like it because the orange, of like that side of it has got a lot of sort of political clout, as well as the other side having quite a lot.
The 1980 Cup final to point to, and you're like, we're talking nearly 40 years ago now. Like, you're trying to say that like the game and the people that go into the game haven't moved on in 40 years. Like, I think it's definitely something that needs to be looked at.
You can go like 3 years down the road to Newcastle and go and grab a pint in the sort of like the back of house or whatever at the football stadium. You're not allowed to drink in the stand, but you can have a drink at the game. But then you come literally across the border and it's like, nah. You're not allowed to. You can't even take in a packet of crisps. Do you know what I mean? They're going through your pockets to make sure you've not got food on you, never mind anything else. I think that's probably a commercial thing, but there just seems to be this reluctance here and this sort of almost like demonisation of football fans that somehow they're like, I don't know, like scum of the earth or whatever. It's strange. The St. Pauli are like quite closely...
You're really struggling with that, aren't you?
I'm going to say it like that the full fucking podcast. They're quite closely like aligned, or maybe this is just my perception, but they're quite close aligned with like things like Antifa. They got like is there like an Antifa presence in the support like from Germany? Is that...
I think it's safe to say that the majority of St. Pauli fans are left-leaning.
Okay.
Sudcover, where we stand, that's where the ultras have got their area, and the majority of that would be anti-fascist activities, essentially. And it's not something that, and that's again something that's different with St. Pauli. They don't, as a football club, like every other football club, they've got the folk at the top that will kind of shy away from anything that could be seen as controversial or not ticking the boxes of a corporate release type thing. Do you know what I mean? St. Pauli will never hide behind it. They'll openly come out and they'll say they're anti-fascist, anti-sexist, anti-homophobic. Do you know what I mean? They'll come out and they'll wear it as something that...
I think it's funny that when we talk about, gay footballers, as there was in the news recently, I think St. Pauli they have like a gay president in like the 80s or something like that. So I mean, they've been historically quite progressive with these sort of left-wing ideas. Like, is that part of what brought you in? Was it just about the football to begin with, or was it the ideas and the
I think it was a mixture of football and politics,
right?
And the fan culture for me. I mean, I was initially drawn into it through being a Celtic supporter. That's how I first heard about it.
Yeah.
I remember meeting a guy in McCool's years ago. This must have been in the 90s. He was wearing a St. Pauli scarf, and I was like, brown and white scarf. What team wears brown and white? And that's kind of probably the first exposure to them I ever had. And we could be going back to your previous point. Oh, shit, sorry, that was my phone. Going back to the previous point about the Antifa and that the stand that I was talking about earlier, the Gegengrade, when it's empty, you see that painted along the whole length of it is a big sign that says kein Fußball, den Faschisten, no football for fascists.
Yeah.
And that's front and centre when you walk out.
It's got to be quite a powerful message in Germany, given obviously
The history.
history.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think as well, this is something that ramped up in the sort of 80s and 90s when like hooliganism was starting to really take a sort of right wing element as well. Like, I quite like the fact that there's clubs out there that are still willing to make like a contribution to like their social consciousness. And reading up about St. Pauli, like I noticed that they are actively trying to say we are of where we're from. This is our place. We'll fight to defend it, and do all these other socially active things and stuff like that. And like, I just think that there's something that we need to marry elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I don't get that disconnect between looking at socially conscious, socially minded organisations like the ones you're involved with, and the image that people have in their head of this, balaclava wearing nutter with firework or whatever it is, and like, there's, as we've discussed, there is times where there's maybe some of that going on, but like, I think it gets the good that comes for it gets drowned out by just a wee tiny bit of bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, I don't really know where I'm going.
Well, the point is just a statement. How do you feel about the potential of like Antifa being like basically outlawed? Because there's talk of this happening now, especially like things like Charlottesville in America, where almost like Antifa is like the new socialist in like the sort of Fox News world. Do you know what I mean? And they're talking about maybe, let's say, like try to make it illegal to be a member of Antifa, even if you can be. I don't even know if you can. I don't think you can actually be a member.
It's something you are or you're not.
Yeah,
Really, isn't it?
exactly.
They're not handing it like application forms or anything like the games now.
But it's interesting because if you dig deep into that, effectively what that statement from Trump is that we are going to fight the people who will fight the fascists.
Yeah.
So what does that make you? That makes you a fascist.
Yeah.
So is it effectively just Trump admitting what everybody bloody well knows about him? It's a strange one, because they're not. They're kind of more, as far as I'm aware, they're a loose collective of people who will come together for particular reasons.
Yeah.
But they're not like, generation identity or
They
national
don't have a
action.
figurehead or anything like that. Right.
So they're not like these right-wing extreme organisations who are actively going out to cause mayhem, murder people, like we saw recently with National Action in the trial in London. So they're not, they're not even comparable to these people. They're the people that are out to oppose them, and as far as I'm concerned, that's a good thing.
Absolutely, and I think it's something that we need again in the wider UK. I mean, we look at guys like Johnson who have a just laundry list of racist, homophobic, Islamophobic comments under his belt. And again, kind of similar with Trump, where his racism in public goes all the way back to like the Central Park 5 and probably beyond. You know what I mean? Like, these guys have got 20-30 year careers of being racist and borderline fascist and everything that they've done. Like, I don't get why I'm forced to be a part of a society that tolerates them or
Normalises
would actually normalise it or hamstring the people that look to stand up against it. You know what I mean? Because I think when you look at this nutter that's at number 10 now, like, standing up against fascists is probably going to be pretty important over the next couple of years. You know what I mean? Like, so is there things that, of that left ideology that you've it's drawn you into the St. Pauli side of things? You've brought it back here. You've got up and running in Glasgow. I know you've got a gig, Love Glasgow, Hate Racism, with guys like Bomb Scare and stuff like that in the coming weeks. Yeah. What other kind of formats does like your activism take in Scotland?
Okay.
Since we've started up as a sports club, the main sort of thing that we wanted to do was see what good we could do from having a collective of people all with the same sort of ideas.
Yep.
So we've done this gig coming up on Saturday. That's the second one. Last year it was it was same sort of time last over a year ago. We raised 10 grand, which was split between United Glasgow and Scottish Refugee Council.
Yep.
At Christmas time, our members will collectively kind of contribute towards putting on a dinner for Simon community
Okay.
service users and stuff. So anyone that's not got company at Christmas and stuff like that, they can come along and get a Christmas dinner and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
We've done.
We supported the Scottish Refugee Council Destitute Asylum Seekers project. So for people whose asylum application's been rejected, where they're out in the street basically, they've got nothing, they've got no means of support. We've been trying to provide money, raise some money to help them, and just provide them with like essentials, toiletries, that kind of stuff.
I mean, that's a fight that's going on to like this sort of very day. I think again off mic we were talking about sort of future guests, the Live and Rent tenants union, coming to talk about like the circle, and I think there's like 300 asylum seekers at this moment in time still in the process of being essentially locked out of their homes and again left pretty much destitute. And I'm just like, again, 300 people out in the street.
It's barbaric.
It's
I mean, there is no.
there's families.
It's,
you know what I mean,
UK government is Home Office.
Okay,
It's
so it's
Home
nothing
Office.
to do. We can't be like SNP,
No.
Holyrood.
No.
It's happening in Westminster. Okay.
Asylum and immigration policies are reserved to Westminster.
Mm-hmm.
So it's your Tory government that's doing it.
Okay. And so I've seen this. So, and obviously like Matt's more aware of like the political sort of spectrum stuff. So basically they're just evicting people. Is that what's happening?
Essentially, but did they give them like a couple of weeks' notice and then they changed the padlocks on their front doors?
Aye, they're given like a notice of eviction. It started off, it's going to be like 30 people per week that they were starting to notify. I think there's been a law firm in Glasgow that have been quite successful so far, where like 6 people have won their case where they won't be evicted, but it's not going to be a case of, it's going to be...
And now these are people who have like come through the asylum system and are legitimate asylum seekers. These people who are still waiting on decisions, or does it matter? Is it just
people
around
who
Glasgow
have
need to go?
been refused asylum?
Right.
So for whatever reasons that the Home Office have deemed them not acceptable to claim asylum, they can go through the appeal process, but once that's been exhausted, at that point the Home Office just refuse outright to help people. So there's the housing group Circle, who are getting replaced by the Emirs group, but before they leave, they're forcing these evictions.
And what are these people expected? And I hate saying that, these people, but what are the asylum seekers that are rejected and then locked out of their property or the property that they're in? What are they expected to do? Like, are they?
Well, the whole idea is it kind of goes back to that hostile environment thing. Make it as hostile as possible for people that they deem to be illegal.
Yeah.
And the kind of no human is illegal.
Aye,
Of
absolutely.
course,
not.
yeah, of course. Especially somebody that's fleeing a war zone or
Exactly.
seeking asylum in a country. It's no. I mean, even though I personally don't subscribe to like economic migrants or any of that sort of bullshit, like you can kind of sort of go, right, okay, fair enough. Let's put that to one side. And these are people that are coming here desperately just trying to flee potential death.
Yeah.
And then they're
Can't
met
see
by
anybody walking out
probably.
of a war zone being an economic migrant. It's you know what I mean. It's one of the like double speak terms, I think, a lot of the time. You know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. But then
If you don't
like you're
want
saying,
people
a
to
hostile
flee,
and violent, you know what I mean? It's
stop selling
ridiculous.
weapons.
Yeah, exactly. You don't
Well,
want people to come in. I think they're seeing that
Starting
in the
wars.
news as well in America, where Central America particularly, where they're talking about the caravans and the migrants and the hordes that are coming to invade and all that bullshit. And like, a lot of the problem in South and Central America is driven by the proliferation of American guns. So you're like, well, your guns are killing your own kids in schools. We've had 2 in the last 24 hours, unfortunately. And as well as that, the guns that escape the country are actually driving the violence in Venezuela and all these places that come off the back of these stolen and missing guns is actually what's driving the migrants to America. And you're like, we are like the designer, the implementer of our own, negative or whatever it is they want to perceive it as. But like, the notions that anybody coming out of a war zone or anything like that is anything less than just a human being who needs help, to me is like scandalous. And to put 300 potentially families, we're not even talking about individuals here, so I mean the number is probably going to be significantly north of 300, isn't it?
It's not families that much.
Right.
It's only single men and women.
Right.
So there's no families involved in it.
Okay. Does
but
it make
they've-
it any
they
less?
have-
Slight positive, but
I know, but they've kind of picked in the wrong city. Like Glasgow's one of the sort of main dispersal cities in the UK for refugees and asylum seekers. But you've seen the backlash that Glasgow folk are giving them. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to stand in. There's groups fighting it. No evictions. They're coming to our gig. They'll overstall our gig, giving out information and stuff like that.
Following
You've
them
obviously
in the
seen that
streets.
there's been in the press this week as well because at football and stuff like that, there's kind of banners going up and people are getting, that might not be made aware of it, they might take a bit more interest in it and realise what's going to happen to people, and it's good that Glasgow's kind of showing what it's made of once again. You know what I mean? It's a case of they're not going to accept people just getting treated that way.
Yeah, I'd have quite liked to seen, I mean, it's a bit of sort of what about it, I suppose, but I'd have quite liked to have seen the Green Brigade make that their main banner rather than it be overshadowed by something that can be manipulated and twisted and then spewed out and used as like sort of to take. I don't think it's been deliberately done to take away.
I had the football on the radio at the weekend there, and it was Radio Scotland, and there was no mention of the second banner. It was only concentrating on that first banner that went up, which is a pity because the second banner had a really important
way more
message.
powerful,
and you know, put the Green Brigade in a really, really good light, and I'm not criticising the first banner by any manner of means.
No.
You know, they did what they felt was right, and I've got no issue with that. It's just unfortunate that what it did was allow people who want to have a dig at the Green Brigade to have a dig at the Green Brigade.
And this is the thing, it was essentially, you know, something almost akin to an act of solidarity with other left-wing sort of supporting groups like yourself, especially in this particular issue. Like, and again, we talked previously about that misconception. I think this is one of the things that, again, usually maybe fell victim to, and maybe these guys are as well, in that the perceived criticism is allowed to drown out the actual good that's happening, the help for migrants, the help for people who are homeless, and charities and food banks and all these other things that go on multiple times a year, gigs. I think he's done like charity screenings of films and stuff like that, if I remember reading right.
We've done the Passaran, again, reasons.
Sold that out.
Aye. Anything that we've kind of always done, we do it to help people primarily, do you know what I mean? But you'll get groups that do the exact same, but they might fall into the trap of feeding the headlines, and that's the stuff that sells papers, do you know what I mean? And that's a good example as to what happened that weekend.
Because you never hear anything in the news or in the radio about what the Green Brigade do for food banks.
if you didn't,
tons of food.
That's what I was going to say. If you don't follow Celtic Twitter, you probably wouldn't even hear about it, because that's the only place where I see anything about it.
All you would think about is the Green Brigade are just a bunch of hooligans, pyro and misbehaving. That's just
even I've fell into that trap a couple of times, and I need to catch myself and be like, no, don't fall into that just thinking that they're a bunch of wee fucking Neds that are there just to do whatever, because the amount of good that they do, especially for Glasgow food banks, is
it's massive.
It's incredible. It is incredible. So, you know, tell us a wee bit more about the gig. So, the lineup's looking pretty fucking incredible, I've got to say. Like, the quality of the acts that you've got on is amazing.
You coming?
Well,
here we go.
I didn't know. Well, I did know. But Tijuana Bibles are playing on Saturday night, and he's saying he's to go to that. But I might come and then go to the just to see them, because I've not got that much interest in any of the acts on their gig. They've got an all day thing happening in St Luke's, but I'm thinking that we'll come up to your gig and then leave. We've seen Bombscare supporting Colonel Mustard. They're fantastic, but I want to try and catch Tijuana Bibles, so I'm definitely going to make an appearance anyway. Know that it would be an appearance in any fucking way, shape or form. I mean, what? So, I mean, I know for a fact, being an ex-musician, and I've been in bands and I've put on gigs, it takes a hell of a lot of fucking effort. And like, so what's your experience been with like the acts? Are they always open to doing these types of things? And because they'll be doing it for free, hopefully.
Yeah, the acts have been amazing. It's exhausting, as you'll know, Paul, putting on something like this. You just essentially need to pester the life out of folk, and that's what the reason that the lineup is what it is. Do you know what I mean? It's a fucking full-time job putting this on, but it's worth it. Last year was amazing. I think this year the lineup, I don't want to say it's better than last year, 'cause it's slightly different. We'd lost us to Dios on the bill as well last year. Italian anti-fascist band, and they're amazing. In fact, they're playing tonight.
Cool. No deal.
But no, it's the bands that are playing it. They're playing it. I don't want to say like they've been picked just for the reason that they're behind the message and stuff like that. But like the likes of Joe Solo, for example, he drove up last year for Scarborough.
Yep.
So came up, played the gig, stayed for a bit because he wanted to see the wakes and stuff like that, and then drove back home again. Wouldn't take a penny. I mean,
wouldn't even take money for diesel.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So we've got people on board who are kind of behind the message and stuff like that. Obviously, the Wakes, absolutely amazing Glasgow band as well. And we've also got a group called Poetry in the Picket Line. They're going to do a bit of kind of spoken word poetry in between bands.
Right.
when Richard Jobson's not comparing, actually, we're going to try. It's going to be a bit of a tight squeeze. But no, it's
alternate them or something.
We've also got like at the stalls wise outside for information, as we're saying, we've got like No Eviction. They're coming along. We've got Safe Gigs for Women.
Okay.
It's a group down south who I don't really think they've got that big a presence up in Scotland so far. So it kind of seemed what they've been doing. It's just about making sure that women who feel uncomfortable at gigs, any sort of sexual harassment, stuff like that, they speak out about it.
Okay.
So they've been doing a lot of good work. So they're coming up in the Overstall. We've got Scottish Refugee Council and Unite as well. So we've got quite a broad kind of group of people that will kind of hand out their information, tell people what they're about and stuff. So overall, it's a long day. It's from 5 till 11 for the bands.
You're until 2.
And then we've got a club night on after it, because last year we'd an after party upstairs and that was brilliant, so we thought we may as well bring that just back onto the main floor. Jobson's going to do a DJ set for us, and one of our members, Titch, that used to be in
Altered Images,
he's doing the DJ set and all.
I know the name Titch as well, so aye man, that's class, and it's at the QMU on Saturday night, isn't it?
Yes.
That is that.
And
It's a decent sized venue, so is it like the pressure to sell the
Still gigging
tickets and
there,
stuff like that? Like,
There is a pressure, because last year, because it was our first year, we'd about 450 at it, which blew away any expectations that I had of it. So it's a bit of a kind of noose around my neck this year, because you kind of want to get to that as well. So anyone that is wanting a ticket, the links on the pin to
get pestering.
Aye. We're nearly at it, but
Best them.
we'd like to fill it.
aye,
So
of
I mean,
course.
the music side of it is something that again ties in with that sort of fan culture that we've been talking about, because like when I think about some of the left-leaning sort of fan groups, like my mind automatically goes to like punk and that kind of like, you know, political discourse that comes along with it. And like, is there, as much as we've seen Bombskid, I'm not familiar with any of the others at the minute. Is there a punk feel happening, or is that something I've imagined?
The only punk that's provided is the Twistettes.
Twistettes,
You
that's
could probably say an attitude with the rest of them, mind you, it's all punk.
Well, Joe Solo, I would say, though his music's not punk, he's punk, he's definitely.
He is a punk.
that sort of like punk attitude,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Kinda like a
and
bit of-
stuff like that.
Aye, he's a solo performer, and I'd never heard him before he came up last year, and he was recommended, I think, by Billy Bragg's agent to you.
Okay.
I think it was either that or Matthew, if I hope not hate, that
Aye.
recommended him to me.
Somebody recommended him to us, and he came at a drop of a hat, and I was just like blown away. This guy's very unusual, but very, very good, very political.
Definitely. That sounds
and
exactly what I want to hear.
He was really, really excellent.
We pals over for Germany that never heard of him, and they left, and they were just like, Joe Solo's fucking amazing.
Like, loving it.
Aye.
That's class, man. I mean, hopefully, what's the capacity of the QMU like?
So it's 900 if we open upstairs. Last year we kept that closed because we'd one of our mates filming it. So this year we'll probably close it again at the top. So downstairs it's 600. But because it's like a full day event, you're kind of wanting 400, 450 is kind of comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, people are in there all day. You want a bit of room to move.
Of course.
Because I don't know if you like QMU sell out gigs. You're fucking sardines.
I've not been in the QMU.
I think the last time I was in there, I seen the Blue Tones or something.
Aye.
Like doing one of these 10-year anniversary things, probably about 15 years ago now.
I have to say they've been really, really good to us.
Aye.
Really
It's a
good to
cracking
us.
venue, and I've never been to a bad gig in there myself.
I know. I played a gig in there for a turtle appeal. Somebody tried to save the turtles, and then there was one time, I think it was at my 22nd birthday, I stage dived off the stage and
did.
nobody.
Got
So
you.
it was just like it was a
Pretty sure
smoke.
that was one of the ones sent away.
There was a smoke.
After
There was
Egan
there was like a sort of layer of smoke, and I was so drunk, man, and I can just remember just running and just seeing nobody and just smacking into the floor. So that's my lasting memory of the QMU. But yeah, shite story there. So if we get back to like the football thing, I'm interested to find out what can Scottish football do to try and emulate the German system, because they went through that sort of period in the early 2000s where sort of Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund kind of like disappeared off the European football map, but then they came like roaring back, and they came back with like wage caps and things like, I mean, hearing like €100.
success as well.
Aye, but obviously winning the World Cup, winning the Euros, but then they've got like €100 season tickets and stuff like that. Like, do you think that, I mean, let's face it, Scottish football is shit, right? So that I don't think that there would need to be any sort of regression in the quality of football to get us to the point where we could have
Getting
that type
value
of
for
system.
money.
Do you think we should just copy and paste?
I don't know if it would transfer over quite so easily. like you say, there's all sort of different complex underlying factors in Scottish football and Scottish society. They're not football issues; they're societal issues.
Yeah.
Which means it might not translate quite easily. And there's also that 49% rule in German football where nobody's allowed to own more than 49% of a club, which means that nobody's ever has that control and stake.
Yeah. So Dermot Desmond would be pissed off.
Aye,
but
you wouldn't have your Dermot Desmonds.
So be it though. Aye, exactly.
You have your David Kings, I think that's his name,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. So that couldn't exist, that structure. But equally, you've got teams in Germany like Red Bull. You know,
How does that work when if there's a 49% rule?
do you know what? I don't actually know the answer to
All
that.
right.
But they're hated.
Some loophole.
They might own 49% and then get the rest of their money through the sponsorship deal or
Yeah.
whatever. It's kind of like the guy at Man City where Etihad, he owns Etihad, and so he owns all that shit. It's like he owns more than that team. He owns the sponsors and the stadium and
£400 million on players, then signed a £400 million sponsorship deal for his own stadium. Aye, that's exactly the type of shit I think we need to be driving out of the game, no man. Because I think football at its highest levels has become like a vehicle basically for money laundering. Like when you look at where the money's coming from and who's bringing the money in, it's almost as if there's people like your Abramoviches and so on who, allegedly, go their wares through inappropriate or, illegal means and are now essentially washing it through £10 million players at Chelsea to legitimise it. And I think that's something that at the highest levels we absolutely need to stamp down on. We've got, a governing body that is a not-for-profit that has like 14 billion quid in the bank, and you're like, the two things don't go together. You know what I mean? Like, so, like a more like fan-based, a more sort of like real life experience approach.
Look at the Champions League, for instance. Take the Champions League. You've got a situation where, firstly, most of the teams that are international champions of their own leagues is gamed towards teams from big leagues. Celtic have to go through 4 qualifiers, is it? Or 3 qualifiers?
Even Ajax.
Ajax, who were semi-finalists last year, and probably the best team in the tournament, have to go through qualifiers to get into the group stage.
Yeah.
And it's consistently gamed against teams from smaller countries. That's not sport.
No.
And you can't get near it because everything is so controlled, everything is so advertised. There's sponsors for this, there's sponsors for that. You watch a game and you're getting MasterCard, Heineken, everything, and all these big, huge brands. And that's not the football experience.
Tag Heuer or whatever the hell you
Exactly.
pronounce it. You know what I mean? Like even
Absolutely.
Times sponsor.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like,
the flags that they're holding up, and the linesmen have, and the fourth assistant, everything is, and you just think, that's no, there's a soul in that.
Yep.
And you can have the best football in the world, but ultimately, you're thinking, this isn't a working class game anymore.
No.
And that to me is the real pity. Someone said to me, I think it was during the week I saw an image on Twitter, and it was a game, so say Dundee and Motherwell, it was like 138,000 people at it. It was a working man's game, a working person's game. And now you look at it and you need to pay, I don't know how much a season ticket is these days, for a Scottish team, but you need to pay a substantial amount of money.
I think the
good
minimum.
couple £100 easy.
Aye, at Celtic Park it's £500 minimum.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Mine's was
£500
£550
and up. Do you know what I mean?
And what I worry about in that is not that people want to go to it. That's a great thing. People still want to support their club, but it's people might actually go without to go to it. And you shouldn't have to do that.
Absolutely. It's hard when you buy you and your two Wayne's season books for whatever club it happens to be in the country, and the expectation for the Weans is set that every other Saturday they're going to the football with mum and dad or mum or dad or whoever. And as you get to further and further in, because it's never just whatever you pay on a season book, it's your
Cup
jersey,
games,
it's the Wayne's jersey, it's the
European
qualifiers
games,
and cup games
absolutely.
and friendlies and
even just when you go in the
whatever.
day and you're spending like what we mentioned earlier, like if you've got 2 kids with you, that's like 15-20 quid on food and drinks and
absolutely.
the rest
Once
of
you've
it.
set the Wayne's expectations, you can't then turn around and go, well,
Can't get it this
actually I
week.
can't go this week because we can't afford them. You know what I mean? Like you've got to go and make the time and make the actual.
Even for yourself, it's like a hard thing to kind of give up. I had season ticket for 8 years at Celtic Park, and ever since finding St Pauli, it's like you go there and you've got a day out, and it's a totally different experience to sitting in a 60,000 seater stadium clapping every now and then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You come back to that, and it was hard to walk away from that, but you couldn't justify just because you don't want to spend an obscene amount of money in a season ticket. It doesn't mean you don't support the club anymore. Do you know what I mean? But you're making the decision to go, I'm not feeding into this, because there's no limit to it. It's just that's just going to continue to rise, and people are just going to continue to pay it. And it's a hard thing to kind of go, right, I don't want to pay that anymore.
Are you leveraging people's love against them?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I've got a feeling that the bubble might burst on it.
You reckon?
I think there's going to come a breaking point. I mean, we're seeing now, I mean, no offence to the boy, but Harry Maguire is not a fucking great football player. That guy just cost fucking Man United 85 million quid. That blows my fucking mind. Absolutely blows my mind. I mean,
It's a big South Sea bubble in England, isn't it?
This is what I think, and again, in terms of that notion of like laundering the money in the English market is so, like, not even corrupted, but like just so
Obscene.
detrimental to them and obscene in the long term that they've less than the other option but to keep paying these exorbitant and increasingly large figures, because if the money stops moving, the top level of football collapses. If something like the English Premier League goes down because people don't want to pay 85 million quid for Harry Maguire, then what does that say for the Champions League when, you know, one of the pillars that they've built it on, you know, falls away overnight? Like, so that money, that ridiculous, obscene amount of money that's going on and putting people off, needs to keep moving. And if it stops, which hopefully it will, I mean, you're seeing £200 million for this, and, you know, it's just like, come on, man. Like, 200 million quid for a fucking football. Like,
Half a million quid in wages a week.
Oh, man.
It's obscene.
Aye. Gareth Bale nearly went to China 2 weeks ago for £1 million a week to, like, sit and play in what is
The
a
Chinese
relatively
league,
poor, you know, league. And just like, where does it stop? And I think it has to. I think we're getting to the point where something has to break at the top.
You will find it more. I mean, I don't even watch Premier League. I can't tell you last time I've watched English
Aye.
football at all. I've got no interest in it. It's not, part of it's to do with the money, obviously, but
Yep.
it's just I've got no interest in the teams and everything that kind of goes on with it. But you will find that more and more people are rejecting it, and they're going and watching non-league football.
United Manchester. for
Yeah.
instance,
FC
that's
United,
it.
Manchester, the likes
Manchester
of
team.
that idea. Again, that's a team that's kind of rejected what happened to their club. But they've actually brought a social aspect into it as well,
Yeah.
and what they do, especially their fans, you know, similar to like so we're talking about Green Brigade and stuff like that, like the fans collective down there. The social work they do is absolutely incredible.
Yep.
And it's again just giving football back to essentially the people that pay for that football to exist in the first place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's going to take the sort of idea where enough people kind of realise that whether like it or not, they're customers now.
Yeah.
And as soon as they start rejecting that, that's the only sort of way it is going to eventually change, because you'll continue to get these sickening prices for footballers, you'll continue to get sickening prices for tickets and stuff. When that starts to get rejected, that's when people that will take notice, because it's hurting their pockets at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But until people actually do say, right, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore, it will
Particularly
continue to.
people in Scotland as well. When it comes to English football, you know, it's no new in football in terms that the English footballing pyramid has leached, you know, historically
Yeah.
the best Scottish talent, both in terms of players and managers for, you know, decades. But the money there now makes it even merry an issue when, you know, an Andy Robertson goes for 8 million quid to Hull and then a year later is a 27, 28, 30 million pound player or whatever, just because, I know he's went to Liverpool, but I mean, that notion that's like a Van Dijk, a Wanyama, a Fraser Forster are recent examples where we'll give you 10 million, but then the summer later they're a 40 million pound player. And you're like, it doesn't make any sense in that respect to me. But like, fucking
if Kieran Tierney was playing at Hull, he would be a 50 million quid football player, alright? I mean, he's widely regarded as one of the best up and coming left backs in Europe, and we are struggling to get over 20 million quid for the guy. And fans down in England actually going like, he's are pathetic for not letting him go for £15 million, and you're like, why the fuck should Celtic let him go for 15 million quid
Aye.
when, like, you see guys that are playing down in England that are probably not anywhere near as good as the guy go for just stupid money. But I genuinely think that come the day the bubble will burst, and I think people should just cancel their Sky Sports subscription tomorrow, get rid of that shit, and stop funding that fucking pish for a start.
that's kind of where I was trying to get it there when I got lost again.
Stream it
Was that-
online for free.
I honestly, like, in the last 6 weeks or something, I've just, like, I don't know, I think I'm
I
going
work,
like
I work,
senile or
at,
something.
I work,
something
at,
like
a, I work at a company that supplies these things to people, and I sit and serve people, and I'm just itching to go, do you know about IPTV? Do you know that you can go and get all this stuff for free? Like, it's £100, that's fine, £100 a month, that's fine. You're like, no man, take the 30 quid a month, mate. and
Aye.
just watch it
What I was
online,
reading
like,
there was-
reject the fucking shit.
Aye.
Yep.
Was that, even in terms of like subscriptions, these companies can make hundreds of millions of pounds off a Scottish audience that then has 3-4 million quid reinvested in their game. And like, I think that's something that we need to make very a point of, because our game is being patronised by these big money leagues with their ridiculous exorbitant money, and all we're getting for it is fucking chicken feed. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know how we can progress into these modern clubs that put the fans when we accept so little for the talent that we create. You know what I mean? And we as subscribers or customers in subscription terms throw away hundreds of millions of pounds that we get single digit percentages back here. You know what I mean? And I don't feel as though that's where it is in Germany. So like, what's the difference in, let's say, a TV deal, for example? I mean, do they collectively bargain? What's the script, do you know?
No idea.
No.
No idea.
Okay, I'll get a question then. So, if you've got aspirations to start a football team, I mean, we're talking about things like United Manchester. I think there's room for that.
Do you think I
in
could
Glasgow.
run?
Oh, for sure. I think that there's a section. I mean, I think that there's a section of the Celtic and the Rangers support that absolutely hate the sectarianism, and I'm one of them.
There is. And,
I'm one of them, and
I think it's a bigger section than people like to portray. Because
100%.
like we were talking earlier about
Definitely.
folk, somebody lights up a pyro, it's suddenly everybody's a hooligan.
Mm-hmm.
And
Instead
you know,
of just
I mean,
somebody's-
in your life in this city, you know people who support both teams, and
Mhm.
you know that there's good people who support both teams.
Yeah.
Also, you know there's kind of cases
Yeah.
out there as well.
Mhm.
So I agree.
I think that there's room. I think if somebody started a team that isn't Partick Thistle, because it's Partick Thistle, and I've been to Partick Thistle games, but I don't know why, but I just wouldn't be like, I want to be a Partick Thistle fan. I don't want to be a Partick Thistle fan, but I think there's room for a team that sort of bridges the gap between Celtic and Rangers, and we could finally try and put something behind us, and because it's
Well,
not
there's-
shite. Like it really is. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like,
You've got United Glasgow who do exactly that, but they
So-
don't rely on it being a case of bridging it between two teams in Glasgow. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing to do with, there's not even an acknowledgement that Celtic and Rangers exist. Do you know what I mean? It's just a case of it's a football team for people that might not necessarily feel comfortable playing in junior leagues or whatever for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Ability could be anything, but this is a team that's kind of there as like a kind of vehicle for people to meet other people of the same sort of like-minded. It gives them a kind of social aspect where they're out training like 3 times a week and stuff like that. And it's I don't want to use a term for it, but it's football for good. Do you know what I mean? And it's using football as that vehicle to kind of give people access to football that they might have been too shy to go and try with a local
Definitely.
team. Do you know what I mean? But there is teams that St Roch's, as we were talking
Yep.
about and stuff like that before, where I just think that for something else to happen in the scale that I think you're kind of meaning, Paul, I don't think it could ever happen because it's money at the end of the day, and it's if
doesn't have
there's
the commercial
exactly
sort of
yeah
appeal.
there could be money to fund it and make it happen, but unless there's an appeal,
Yeah.
it's
There's
not going
also-
to have the kind
I
of
think
There's
even
also
if we take
vested
it-
interests
Well, this
as
is
well.
it.
which you
Even
have
if we
to
just talk
overcome.
about it as a basic sporting rivalry, I don't know if I could be like, let's all unite under one banner. I'd be like, no. I don't know. That's just me. Even just in terms of the sport. None
Part
of
of
the
the
rest
problem, Mark,
none of the rest
solution here.
Well, I'm just going to be honest, man. I mean, what doesn't appeal to me? I'm sorry.
So after the gig, what have you got coming up? I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, this is like your once a year.
Yeah,
This is like
yeah.
a massive event. And
I mean, I've not actually we're only two games into the Bundesliga season, Bundesliga 2 season, so need to plan a trip over because I've not been obviously yet. So that would be next for me.
And are you going to go to one where they actually win or score
Jesus,
goals?
man, I think I'm just a Jonah to be honest with you.
We'll out it and we'll break the jinx.
I actually
You know
like.
what I mean?
Do you know what? I actually really admire like. And I don't mean this to be patronising in any way, because I don't go to the games anymore because I can't afford it. Like, or I could afford it, but I've got better things to spend. I've more than £1,000 a year on. Do you know what I mean? But see, people that go to Motherwell, people that go to Partick Thistle, people that don't. Like, I mean, me and Matt had a conversation one time when we had our season books. We were sitting. It was a cold Thursday night, and I think Celtic get beat off a fucking. I can't even remember who it was, but at Parkhead, and we're like, I'm fucking done with this, man. Like, it's cold. I'm bored. Shite atmosphere, shite football. I don't really see the appeal. And I actually really admire people that go and watch a team that don't win every week, because that was really my motivation.
It's
That
real
might be like,
dedication, isn't it? I mean, just to go out the door and say, you know, in a February when you've got stair rod rain coming at you horizontally, and you're in a shitey old stand that,
You're
you
on a
know,
7 o'clock bus to Aberdeen. or
whatever, you know, and you just think it's dedication and it's love and it's passion, and that's what football should be about.
Definitely.
And it's kind of
It's joy as well for me. Like it's
Absolutely.
one of the things that, as we have talked in other episodes about, you know, mental health, particularly men's mental health, and ourselves, we're in experiences and stuff like that. Like, one of the things that helped me about football over the years was like, it felt like one of the very few places as a man that I was allowed to like express pure joy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, is that the thing about, you know, you're meant to hide your emotions, like, you know, that bullshit, whatever it is, but like, I always felt at the football, no matter what one of the various teams I've watched over the years, that when they score or when they have that win or lift that trophy or get that promotion or whatever it's been over the years, that like that moment of joy is something that I'm actually allowed as a man to like experience and just let go of. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't think there's other areas in my life where that passion, that joy is allowed to actually like get out.
I think we're doing it wrong then, because we're coming into St Pauli later on in our life, so we've not got much joy left. But no, you're right, because it's that's why a lot of people will be kind of attracted to St Pauli as well, because it's that whole kind of welcoming that regardless of who you are, what you're
as long as you embrace the club's ethos, you know, as long as you're inclusive and you know you're not being a dick.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, we've seen people who are dicks at St Pauli, you know, foreign fans, and being arseholes and being told to get the fuck out of the stadium by the ultras. Like, you're not welcome.
So stag culture, because
it's right next to the Reaper band, and we often on our Twitter feed get folks sending us direct messages saying, "Oh, I'm going over with my mates for 12 years, gone over, going to get some tickets." It's like,
don't even respond, especially if you're gone and you're a supporter subsidiary and you're basically putting your neck on the line for people who've got to turn up to get pissed and cause trouble potentially. So
people who don't get it, people who are football tourists who just think that it's just another one to tick off, you know. There's big grounds, you can go into that anywhere else you want.
And just fade into the background.
Yeah, and talking about your comment earlier there, Matt, about passion.
Yeah.
We were standing in the Sud curve, and it was 30 minutes gone the first half. Ingolstadt just scored their 4th goal. It looked as if they were about to score another 4. And we were just looking at each other. Flight was at like 6 that morning, and we were just looking at each other going, what are we here for? But then,
why do we do this to ourselves?
Well, but the thing about it is, in that stand, the ultras are there and they have their flags and their drums and they have their songs, and they keep going, and then you realise, you know, this is what it's about. You know?
And it's not an intimidating atmosphere in that way as well, because again, like, just kind of going back, like the word Antifa is kind of, it carries this kind of fear element to it. It's the same, and that's one of the problems here, is it's the same with the word ultras. Do you know what I mean? Where people hear the word ultras and they just assume that it's going to be like, I mean, heads kicking about and just making trouble for other people that's there.
Material.
And it's nothing like, you go to Sud Curve and it's just people just try to make as much atmosphere as possible that everyone can get involved in, and there's no intimidation to it. It's not a case of you're going into someone's space and it's like someone standing there. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing like that at all, and you're encouraged to get involved. If anything, when the capos are kind of standing, there's like 5 or 6 of them, I think, that stand in a line, spread down the Sud cover, and as they're looking over and they're screaming at people to be singing, if you're not, do you know what I mean? So you're properly encouraged at that point.
So the capos stand and they stand on the fence, and they've got megaphones, and they face the crowd, and they're choreographing the singing.
So this is something that we're starting to see a wee bit of, and like with Motherwell, and obviously there's the guys that stand at the front with the Green Brigade and then the Union Bells or whatever, but there's definitely, you see that, so I take it that's where they're getting that for, because I was always like, where the fuck did this megaphone thing come from? Like,
people stand with their back to the game.
Not watching the game, like come to football not to watch the game. I think like, that is exactly what is missing for me for football. I have never experienced what you're talking about. I mean, I'm nearly approaching 40, and I went to my first Celtic game in 1993, and I've never experienced that purpose, why I do it. It's always been because my dad supported Celtic and because I want them to win. That's really all that I've ever really went to the football for. And the idea that I would go with having a social conscience, with being open to everybody and not really caring about the actual result. I mean, take it, you will care if they get beat,
of course,
because it's your team. But you do know that it's about something bigger than just your team winning at a game of football. I've never experienced that. It's something that actually I'm like, I'd love to experience that.
You know, a wee tiny bit at St Rock's. Like, I remember one of the first times I went, And when you talk about, you know, the kind of community side of it, like, I remember half time comes and the next thing there's 10 Waynes on the park, like playing shooty in on the pitch, and I'm like pure, I don't know, completely ordinary, normal thing that was no part of like the visual language of my football experience at all, and I was a bit like, somebody gonna get the Wayne's after. You know what I mean? And I was like, hold on a minute, like Wayne's playing kickabout with his dog, and I was like, that's after like 10 seconds of being like, no, that's no a daft thing. That's the club saying like, just let it all hang out, like come and do what you want, like just be here with us and get involved. You know what I mean?
Bends my head the whole kind of welcoming to it. Like right when first started the supporters club, I think it was the first season, and I'd sent an email to someone in the club basically saying, look, we've raised this money from our merch sales, we'd like to somehow pay for refugee kids living in Hamburg to take them to the game. So like, right, that's no bother, come over and we'll have a chat. Stadium's closed at night and stuff like that. We've been sitting in the pub just across the road for the majority of the day, and then you're like, oh, fuck, we've got a meeting at 8 o'clock. And you're getting in the stadium. Do you know what I mean? Your supporters club that have just kind of came up with this idea, and they're sitting you down and they're going, right, let's explore this, let's see what we can do. And that's like, next year will be the third or fourth that we'll be doing that sort of thing. So it's that kind of there's no line between the fans and like even the board essentially of the club. Do you know what I mean? It's a case of if they're accessible and they'll look towards any way of kind of exploring any ideas that you've got. If it's something that you think can be done, they'll do it.
Yeah. And
it's as a fan, like talking about the kind of idea of, you know, appreciating your team. We were lucky enough to play Lampedusa St Pauli, the team we were talking about earlier on.
Okay.
So Yorkshire St Pauli, they play them every year. Football's almost actually better than watching St Pauli, but they asked us to be part of it.
You're not getting invited back.
Honestly, they asked us to be part. I think Charlie played once before, but there was 5 or 6 at GSP went over, and there's a wee stadium, the Feld Arena, with the women's team playing stuff just out at the back of the stadium, and we're playing in this game against kids like 17, 18, Scotland Day, try to chase these kids a bit of pitch. We kept it respectful. I think we get beat 3-1, didn't we?
3-0.
3-0. I thought we might have scored.
It was better than the first game we got beat 10-1.
But then
that's just emulating your idols then, really.
But then afterwards, you go back in the wine bar we're talking about. They open that up, and it's closed to like anyone walking by the stadium would just think it was shut. But there's just like a group of folk inside the stadium,
right,
and you're left to kind of walk about the stadium. They don't mind you walking about the stadium. And you're just thinking, I can't imagine doing this at Celtic Park or anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? Where you're just
places as much yours as anybody else's.
Exactly. And as a fan, you're just like, this is stuff you kind of just. You've got a stadium yourself. You're just like, this is fucking. There's so many things like that do still continue to happen. That it doesn't take you long to remember why you're kind of doing it. Do you know what I mean? Because you are made to feel welcome. You're made to feel valued as well as a supporter from, you know, not even in Germany and stuff like that. So it's.
You don't think you get much welcome in some clubs up and down the UK in the terms that you're talking about.
You get kettled.
Exactly.
You get watched by what we're talking about. You can constantly surveyed while you're at the game.
I'm glad that you've found it for yourselves, man, because it's definitely something that, as you say, you know, coming from the big club background, like some like they get a wee bit envious when you see people out there and they're not just like fans of the club, but they're part of their club. You know what I mean? And I think that's how we survive when hopefully these bubbles bust.
A great example though, just to how they treat fans is second last game of the season, which is always the last away game of the season. Fan Laden we were talking about before, they charter a train, so depending on where the game is, they'll charter a train, and it's like 2,500 it can hold, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge big old thing, you know, like the old one that you used to see in the movies with the the
6 people in a carriage
compartments.
And in that train there's again,
two party wagons.
So it's the old bars that were on these trains.
Right.
So there's a metal wagon and then there's a party wagon, and I've never seen people crowd surf in a train before. It's fucking bonkers.
Sounds amazing.
And it goes
as soon as it because it's an old train, it can't go on a high speed line, so it goes out the back lines and stuff, and it takes ages to get to wherever it is you're going. But as soon as the train moves, the bars open, and folk are in these wagons, and they're just meeting people from all over Hamburg and Germany,
Aye.
and the music's going, and
Last
everybody's
year's
just
Sun-
having an absolute blast.
7:30 in the morning Sunday, we're in the train and fucking Spice Girls is blaring. And there's people absolutely loving it.
It's the only time
Bounce off into the Spice Girls.
It's
Venga
surreal.
Boys it was as well,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And folk were just going,
Again,
"What
that's
is
people
this?"
getting treated like adults.
Yeah.
2,500 people in that train and not a bit of bother.
But in saying that, when we got to Duisburg, we got kettled into the ground.
That's, yeah.
That was Scots for you. Because they knew we were
aye.
all pissed for
Well,
7 in the morning.
2,500 just walking off a train steaming. It's maybe a wee bit merrier for cop
We'll
than
just
normal.
make
you
sure
know
they
what
go
I
the
mean?
right way.
It get a bit hairy, but listen, guys, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. That's us past the hour, and I'm glad I got you in. I'm going to try and get this out before Saturday. I need to.
Aye.
I'm just going to need to put it to it in like 2 days or something like. So I want to just
Toss
try
a
and.
coin, you go to one gig, I go to the other.
Aye, maybe. But do you want to just tell people where they can find you? Because I mean, I'm interested in it. Mel now just talking to you about it and like thinking, I quite fancy a fucking trip to Germany to go to a good game of good football, because you haven't sold the football side of it, but you've definitely sold the community side of it. But where can people find you if they're wanting to have a look for you?
So in terms of like getting in touch with Twitter and our email address, I think it's on the Twitter as well. But in terms of for showing the games, we can't announce it, because where we show the games it isn't 100% paid for.
Okay.
So we don't want to get the venues into trouble. But
Fair
if people
enough.
message us, then
They'll find out, so they can contact you through Twitter if they want to become a member, and people should go to that gig on Saturday night at the
Definitely.
QMU. Like I said, man, I'm definitely going to be there at some point. So, but thanks again for coming, man. It's
Cheers
been a
for asking us,
pleasure. And
man.
I
Appreciate
think telling us about. I mean, I've always sort of. There seems to be like this sort of thing where people in Scotland are looking at the fans in England and going, "Your game's sort of soulless," but we're gone the same way. So, it's nice to hear that there are places where it's still part of a community and there's still something that's bigger than just lifting a trophy and paying £100 for a kit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, aye man, it's been
Anything
a
that
great
fucks with
conversation.
fascists is I'm all for it. Fuck them.
But I tell you don't follow Sam Pauli for the... It's Sam Pauli, by the way. You don't follow Sam Pauli for the football. You know, you're no glory chasing if you follow that company.
Definitely
for every
not
other
really
reason.
hunter,
Aye.
definitely. But thanks guys, that was
Aye, man,
fantastic.
that was brilliant.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Lightning falls when there is panic in the sky. Thunder calls when all but fear is left to die. You tell it like it's fantasy, something that you're never going to be. Same old story every day. There's just one thing that I have to say, that if we believe, if we trusted you, then I don't know why you say the things you do. You'd see a whole new way to be, giving honest answers and not those lies to me. Empty halls now filled with echoes of their past. Honor stars, they lived each day like it's their last. You tell it like it's fantasy, something that you're never going to be. Same old story every day. There's just one thing that I have to say, that if we believe, if we trusted you, then I don't know why you say the things you do. You'd see a whole new way to be, giving honest answers and not those lies to me. I can tell that you're on a mission just to break the walls down time and time again. If it wasn't true, would it be okay to break the walls down time and time again? That if we believe, if we trusted you, then I don't know why you say the things you do. You'd see a whole new way to be, giving honest answers and not those lies to me. Believe, if we trusted you, then I don't know why you say the things you do. You'd see a whole new way to be, giving honest answers and not those lies to me.